Dr. Anderson Reynolds' newest book, They Called Him Brother George, is the latest in a growing list of publications that seeks to capture the essence of the enigmatic, larger-than-life character that was George Odlum, 1934 to 2003. The late George Odlum, a lifelong student of literature and politics, fused the two disciplines to excite, inspire, and captivate audiences. Former Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for Vieux Fort South, Dr. Kenny Anthony, a specially invited guest at the book launch on Sunday, 5th March, complimented the author for what he describes as an impressive effort.
This is really a tremendous accomplishment. And I like the approach taken by Dr. Reynolds. I like the approach. He has given an introduction, set the context, selected what for him aptly explains and describes the man. Then he takes us on a journey through the eyes of those who render tributes, who eulogize them, and then, of course, words from George Odlum himself. In other words, it was not an overbearing effort. It was controlled. It was structured. And Dr. Reynolds has displayed versatility and style. His prose is smooth, elegant, even disposing, but also sympathetic and respectful.
The late George Odlum's daughter, Yasmin Odlum, through her virtual address, said the book by Dr. Reynolds is a welcomed addition to the body of work on her much-studied father.
Dr. Reynolds' latest publication, They Called Him Brother George, is a fitting addition to the small body of work on the political life and controversial legacy of one of St. Lucia's leading political figures of the past. A comrade and friend of Honourable George Odlum's sister Cindy Madar Gould once described his contribution to St. Lucia as a journey half taken. And in Dr. Reynolds' book, there is enough evidence of the political enigma as the compilation captures unflinchingly the paradoxes, the polarizations, the promise, and the potential, the peaks and the pits that have colored and contoured the life of Brother George.
Dr. Anthony and George Odlum shared a long and complex relationship which was sometimes cordial and sometimes antagonistic. Dr. Anthony noted the poignant moment he shared with George Odlum during his dying days. Dr. Anthony said the complexity and stature of George Odlum make it difficult for any book to capture it all.
There is so much more to explore. For example, understandably, Dr. Reynolds did not dwell on the strange, uneven, and bitter relation, and sometimes bitter relationship between the SLP and George Odlum. Neither have I seen anyone attempted to explain why George and I took different routes. Amazingly, no one has approached me and has asked me what is the history of that relationship, why it happened the way it did, and why on his deathbed we had this reunion of minds and of spirits at the closing chapter of his life.
The in-person representative of the Odlum family, Andrew Buffalo Odlum, expressed the hope that students will use the book to inspire them to become civic-minded.
And I would like to see that the young people take this catalyst that is presented by Dr. Reynolds and don't see it as an essay. See it as a way forward for the future, a way forward for hope, and a way forward for your participation in the social and political development of your country.
The author of the book, They Called It Brother George, Dr. Anderson Reynolds, says this body of work was 20 years in the making, describing the process as engaging and inspirational.
More than any of my other books, this book has truly been a labor of love. And strangely enough, I was getting to know George Odlum through writing the book, working on the book, greatly inspired me. I mean, it made me more sure of that the oracle was right. I need to be writing. So it strengthened my resolve to keep writing, to get even more bold and less scared, more bold, it empowered me to do what I was doing.
Following his postgraduate studies at Oxford University, George Odlum first embarked on a career in international public service, but politics had too great a pull for him to resist. George Odlum's sheer mastery of the English language and his often mesmerizing performances on stage set him apart from most, if not all, of his contemporaries in politics. They Called Him Brother George by Dr. Anderson Reynolds provides yet another perspective on a man whose contribution to the political and cultural life of St. Lucia continues to be hotly debated. Stanley Lucian for the HTS News Force.